When you picture a millionaire, you probably don't picture a gas station attendant or a janitor. But when a janitor named Ronald Reed passed away, everyone was completely shocked to discover he had quietly built a stock portfolio worth over $8 million. He didn't win the lottery. He didn't start a massive tech company. And he definitely didn't have a six-figure salary. He simply lived below his means, invested early, and let time do the heavy lifting. Most people falsely believe that they have an income problem, when in reality they have an awareness problem. If you make $50,000 a year and feel like you're drowning, today I'm going to give you the brutally honest, 5-step systematic plan to reach millionaire status without a massive paycheck. And before somebody starts emotionally short-circuiting in the comments, let me say this clearly. Yes, $50,000 a year can feel brutally tight. Rent is stupid. Groceries are stupid. Insurance is stupid. Everything feels like it got expensive at the exact same time your paycheck decided to stay mediocre. I get it. This is not me pretending money is easy. This is me telling you that if you stay financially unconscious, the system will eat you alive while convincing you it's normal. Because that's what's really happening. People are not just broke because they don't make enough. A lot of them are broke because they have no idea where their money is going. No strategy for where it should go, no patience to delay gratification, no skill growth to increase earning power, and no environment that normalizes wealth building. They're living inside a financial hallucination. They think if they just get one more raise, one more side hustle, one more tax refund, one more bonus, then finally they'll start building wealth. No. If you are sloppy at 50,000, you will usually be sloppy at 70. If you are impulsive at 70, you'll be impulsive at 100. More money magnifies behavior. It does not automatically fix it. So let's get surgical. The first thing you have to fix is your awareness problem. This is the part everybody wants to skip because it feels boring. And boring is exactly why it works. Wealth is built in boring territory. Every broke habit wants drama. Every wealthy habit wants clarity. If I sat you down right now and asked you where every dollar from your last 3 paychecks went, could you tell me? Not the fake answer, not the cute answer, not the bills, food, and gas answer. I mean item by item. Subscriptions, convenience store runs, random Amazon junk. Food delivery because you were too tired. Coffee stops, tiny leaks, quiet stupidity. Could you actually tell me? Most people can't. And then they say they need more money. That's like a guy standing in a house with 10 holes in the roof saying, I don't need to repair anything. I just need a stronger air conditioner. No, idiot. Your money is escaping because you are not paying attention. Every unassigned dollar disappears. Every single one. Money loves vagueness because vagueness lets emotion win. If your paycheck lands and there is no job assigned to that money, life will assign one for you, usually a stupid one. That's why awareness comes first. Not investing, not side hustles, not getting rich. Awareness. I want you to think about 2 guys. Dave makes $50,000 a year. Not glamorous. Not impressive. Nobody is writing songs about Dave's salary. But Dave gets honest. He tracks everything for 90 days. Not roughly. Not in his head. On paper, in an app, in a spreadsheet. I don't care. He finds out he's leaking $420 a month on nonsense. Not because he's evil. Not because he's lazy. Because he's normal. And normal financial behavior is unconscious financial self-sabotage. Now meet Mark. Mark also makes around $50,000. Mark refuses to track because tracking makes him feel restricted. He says things like, I already know where my money goes. No, you don't. If you knew, you wouldn't be confused every month. Mark is the guy who treats every minor inconvenience like an emergency worthy of a swipe. Bad day at work? Order takeout? Bored on Saturday? Go shopping. Slightly stressed? New gadget. His money doesn't have a plan. It has moods. 5 years later, Dave has an emergency fund, automatic investments, and a growing skill stack. Mark has stories. Dave has assets. Mark has explanations. Dave has peace. Mark has payments. And here's the part that makes people mad. Awareness is available to almost everybody right now. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect income. You don't need the economy to change. You need the courage to look at your own behavior without lying to yourself. Track your last 30 to 90 days. Separate survival from comfort and comfort from vanity. Housing, transportation, food, insurance, utilities, minimum debt payments. Okay, but after that, you need brutal honesty. Are you buying relief? Are you buying stimulation? Are you buying identity? Are you spending because you think you deserve a treat every time life feels mildly inconvenient? Because that is how the middle class gets trapped forever, not in one giant explosion, in 1,000 tiny, socially acceptable leaks. And once you know where the money is going, now you can redirect it. That's when step 2 begins, and this is where the entire game changes. Start investing immediately and automatically. Not next year, not after the promotion, not after the wedding, not after Christmas, not after you feel ready. Start now. I am begging you to understand this. Time matters more than intensity. People obsess over amount because amount feels masculine and impressive. Bro, when I start investing, I'm going hard. 500 a month, 1,000 a month. Great. And when are you starting? Probably in a few years after I get my income up. Congratulations. You just murdered the most important variable in wealth building because your ego wanted a bigger number. The stock market does not care about your ego. It rewards time. That is why low-cost index funds are so powerful. They are boring, diversified, automatic, and built for people who understand that wealth is not a performance. It is a process. You don't need to be a genius stock picker. You do not need to stare at candlestick charts like a caffeinated gambler. You don't need to pretend you have secret insight. You need consistency. You need discipline. You need exposure to productive assets over long periods of time. This is where people say the dumbest sentence in personal finance. I can't invest until I make more money. That sentence sounds practical. It sounds mature. It sounds responsible. It is usually a lie. What it really means is, I am uncomfortable starting small, so I would rather postpone action and pretend the delay is rational. Let me destroy that right now. Take a guy who starts at 20 and invests just $50 a month into a basic market index fund. Tiny amount, almost laughably small. Now let's take another guy who waits until 40, then invests $500 a month. 10 times more. Sounds like the second guy should crush the first, right? Wrong. Under strong long-term return assumptions, the first guy can still end up with more because his money had decades longer to compound. That's the part people refuse to emotionally accept. The market rewards early discomfort more than late intensity. Here's another way to see it. Imagine Dave starts today with $200 a month. Mark waits 10 years because he wants a real amount before bothering. After 10 years, Mark finally starts with $500 a month and feels amazing about himself because the number looks bigger. But Dave has something Mark can never buy back. Time. 10 years of compounding. 10 years of automatic habits. 10 years of not needing motivation because the system is already running. That gap matters more than people think. It is not a small difference. It is life-changing. People hear compound interest and treat it like a textbook term. No, it is delayed violence in your favor. It looks weak in the beginning, then it gets ridiculous later. The first years feel underwhelming, which is why almost nobody sticks with it. Humans are wired to crave visible rewards. Compounding hides the reward until the disciplined have already separated themselves from the emotional. So automate it. Remove yourself from the equation. If you wait to invest what's left over, there will be nothing left over. There is always a reason to spend. Always. So the money must leave your checking account before your personality gets a vote. The transfer needs to happen automatically, every payday, into broad, low-cost index funds. Non-negotiable. That is how normal people become wealthy. Not with heroic bursts of discipline. With systems. Now once you start investing, you hit the next trap. And this trap has destroyed more potential millionaires than low income ever did. Lifestyle inflation. This is the third step. You must choose to be temporarily broke, not actually broke. Temporarily broke on purpose. That means when your income goes up, Your lifestyle does not immediately chase it. This is where the middle class loses its mind. A guy gets a $10,000 raise and immediately starts acting like the universe handed him a permission slip to become stupid. New car lease, more expensive apartment, nicer restaurants, better clothes, upgraded phone. He starts consuming the raise before he's even emotionally adjusted to it. Why? Because he wants to feel successful right now. That urge is poison. You do not need to look rich. You need to become rich. These are opposite goals in the beginning. If you make $50,000 and jump to $60,000, that is not your cue to go lease a luxury car so strangers at stoplights can think you're important. That is middle-class theater. That is paying real money to produce a fake image for people who do not care about you. The car is loud because the balance sheet is weak. Wealth whispers, debt screams. Let me say that again because some people need to hear it in the back of their skull. Wealth whispers, debt screams. The loudest people are often the brokest. Flashy car, financed watch, designer nonsense, expensive apartment, constantly posting little glimpses of a life that is completely held together by monthly payments. That's not wealth. That's costume design. Dave gets a $10,000 raise. He keeps driving the same paid-off car. He keeps his rent stable. He increases his investment contribution by most of the raise. Maybe all of it. He lets his life improve slowly and intentionally, not impulsively. For a couple of years, Dave looks behind. His friends think he's cheap. They think he's not enjoying life. They think he could live a little. Mark gets the same raise. Within 30 days, he has a new lease, a higher insurance bill, higher gas bill, higher maintenance costs, and a new identity built around the vehicle. He tells himself he earned it. Then, 6 months later, he says, "Man, I got a raise, and somehow I'm still living paycheck to paycheck." Yeah, because you converted income into obligations. You upgraded your expenses before you upgraded your assets. This is what people don't understand. Every time you inflate your lifestyle, you raise the amount of money required to feel okay. You make your own life more expensive to emotionally maintain. So now you need the bigger paycheck just to protect the image you created. That's slavery with leather seats. And I know somebody is listening thinking, so I'm just supposed to suffer forever? No. I said temporarily broke, not permanently joyless. The strategy is to act below your means while your investments and your skills are gaining momentum. You are compressing consumption now, so future you gets freedom later. That is not suffering. That is intelligent sequencing. You delay the external rewards so you can build internal strength. And then later, when the asset base is large enough, you can buy nicer things without those things owning you. Now let's go to step 4, because this is where people who are stuck at low income need to stop whining and start becoming more valuable. Actively expand your earning power. This is the harsh truth the world will not package nicely for you. The market does not care how hard you sweat. It does not care how exhausted you are. It does not care how unfair your boss is. It does not care how many hours you stood on your feet. You are not paid based on effort alone. You are paid based on the value of the problems you can solve and the scale at which you can solve them. That hurts people's feelings, but feelings do not set salaries. Markets do. A man can work harder physically than another man and still earn less because his labor is less scalable. That's reality. Complaining about it does not change it. Understanding it can. If you want to become a millionaire on a 9-to-5 salary, one of the fastest ways to accelerate that path is to increase your earning power outside your job title. Learn skills the market pays for. Sales, copywriting, digital marketing, AI implementation, automation, analytics, project management, client acquisition, content systems. There are men building real side income because they learned how to solve boring business problems that owners will gladly pay to remove. And don't tell me you need an Ivy League degree to start. That story is outdated and convenient. It's the excuse people use to avoid the discomfort of self-education. We live in a world where you can learn more practical, income-producing skill in 6 focused months online than many people learned in 4 expensive years memorizing theory they never use. The information is everywhere. The issue is not access. The issue is discipline. Dave works 9 to 5, comes home tired, eats, then spends 90 minutes at night learning a high-value skill. Not forever, just consistently. He watches tutorials. He practices. He builds sample work. He learns how businesses make money. He learns how to help them make more or waste less. After a few months, he does freelance work on the side. Not glamorous, no motivational soundtrack, no overnight success. But the skill compounds just like the investments compound. One client becomes two. One extra $300 a month becomes $800. Then $1,500. Then maybe he switches careers entirely and doubles his salary because now the market sees him differently. Mark gets home from work and anesthetizes himself. Scrolls, streams, complains, says he's too tired to learn anything new, but somehow has 4 hours for content that makes him feel nothing. He tells himself the economy is rigged, jobs are fake, opportunities are gone, and rich people got lucky. Then he wonders why his life looks exactly like his habits. Let me validate something though. If you're grinding full-time and barely keeping your head above water, learning a skill at night is hard. Of course it's hard. You're tired. You're frustrated. You might even be resentful that you have to keep improving just to get ahead. That frustration is real. I'm not mocking it. I am telling you that resentment will not pay you. Complaining will not compound. The market may be unfair, but it still responds to value. So the only productive question is, what can I learn that somebody will pay for? And when you start earning more, you don't use all the extra money to inflate your life. You use it to pour gasoline on the machine you already built in steps 1 through 3. More investing, more flexibility, more margin, more options. That's how the guy on a normal salary starts outrunning people who make more than him, but stay financially unconscious. Now the 5th step is the one people underestimate because it feels soft, but it is not soft at all. It is one of the most powerful forces shaping your behavior. Change your inputs. If every day your brain is soaked in broke thinking, broke habits start to feel normal. If all your friends do is complain about prices, mock investing, worship status symbols, and act like being financially irresponsible is somehow more authentic, then guess what gets normalized? Not wealth building, not ownership, not discipline, broke culture. And broke culture is sneaky. It doesn't announce itself as self-destruction. It masquerades as fun, realism, and living in the moment. You need different inputs. The voices you listen to matter. The conversations around you matter. The examples your brain sees every week matter. If your environment constantly teaches you that everybody is broke, everybody has payments, everybody deserves a treat, everybody upgrades instantly, and everybody hates rich people, then building wealth will feel socially abnormal. And humans hate feeling socially abnormal. That's why you need to flood your mind with voices, stories, and people who normalize patience, investing, skill building, ownership, and long-term thinking. You need to hear money discussed like a strategy, not a mystery. You need to see examples of regular men building wealth slowly so your brain stops thinking it requires a lottery ticket, inheritance, or startup exit. Listen to conversations that challenge you. Read things that force you to think long-term. Spend time with men who care more about net worth than appearance. Men who don't need to prove success with logos. Men who talk about assets, cash flow, and opportunity cost, not just vacations and upgrades. Because here's the truth nobody wants to admit. A lot of people stay broke because their identity is anchored to a broke environment. If he starts investing, his boys tease him. If he stops spending, they call him cheap. If he studies at night, they say he's doing too much. If he skips the flashy car, they think he's playing small. They will clown the very behaviors that would save his future because his growth threatens their excuses. You have to be willing to become weird for a while. Weird is the man who says no to the car and yes to the index fund. Weird is the man who gets a raise and upgrades his brokerage contribution instead of his ego. Weird is the man who learns AI or sales or digital marketing after work while everyone else numbs out. Weird is the man who doesn't need strangers to see his money because he'd rather quietly keep it. And then one day, Weird becomes wealthy. Let me tie all of this together so you can see the full machine. A guy making $50,000 who tracks his money, cuts leaks, automates investments, rejects lifestyle inflation, increases his skills, and changes his environment can absolutely become a millionaire over time. Not because it's sexy, because math works. Behavior works, systems work. The tragedy is that most people don't fail because they lacked access. They fail because they kept waiting for conditions to become ideal. They wanted a higher salary before learning discipline. They wanted a better economy before taking ownership. They wanted motivation before creating systems. They wanted confidence before developing skills. They wanted to look rich before becoming rich. That sequence keeps people trapped for decades. The right sequence is ugly at first. Awareness first, automation second, delayed lifestyle third, skills fourth, inputs fifth. Repeat for years. Let it be boring. Let it be invisible. Let it offend people who need attention. You are not building a highlight reel. You are building freedom. And freedom is not a leased car. Freedom is not brunch photos. Freedom is not financing toys while pretending you're winning. Freedom is having enough invested that work becomes optional someday. Freedom is having the ability to say no. Freedom is being able to handle emergencies without panic. Freedom is sleeping at night because you know you own assets instead of just carrying payments. That is what you are actually after. So if you make $50,000 right now and you feel behind, good. Use that pain correctly. Don't turn it into self-pity. Turn it into precision. Track every dollar. Start with what you can invest today, even if it feels embarrassingly small. Be temporarily broke on purpose when raises come in. Learn skills the market values instead of hoping loyalty gets rewarded. Change what goes into your ears, your eyes, and your circle. Because the middle class has been sold a lie. The lie is that wealth looks expensive. It doesn't. In the early stages, wealth often looks modest, quiet, patient, and even unimpressive. And that's why most people miss it. They are too distracted by the noise. Don't be distracted. Be the guy who is underestimated. Be the guy who doesn't need to announce his plan. Be the guy who understands that financial peace is built long before it becomes visible. Be the guy who stops saying, "I can't," and starts asking, "How can I?" Be the guy who realizes that a small, disciplined move repeated for years is more powerful than a big emotional move made once. That is how ordinary men produce extraordinary outcomes. Not with perfect circumstances, not with a miracle, not with a six-figure salary on day one. With awareness, with patience, with systems, with skill, with better inputs, with time. And if that sounds too simple, that's exactly the point. It is simple. It is not easy. The reason it feels rare is because most people would rather protect their excuses than follow a boring plan long enough to let it work. Don't be most people. The marketplace rewards high-value skills. Click this video right here to watch my free masterclass on exactly how to learn a new skill and add an extra $1,000 to your monthly income.